Okay, so this is the third part of our discussion on chapter 4. So in this part now we're going to discuss fats. Okay. So yeah, I have cited no the difference between lipids and fats already. Katong nag chapter 1 pa ta no. So lipids are the general term no to describe all uh, organic molecules that are hydrophobic, that are nonpolar, okay, that are immiscible to water. That means they are water fearing, no? And one of the examples of lipids is fats. So therefore, all fats are lipids, but not all uh, lipids are fats. Okay? So, fats are always lipids, but not all lipids are fats. Kumbaga inana, no? Because there are other lipids that are not fats, such as sterols, phospholipids, di ba? Sterols include the cholesterol and phytosterol. Cholesterol is the sterol that is found in animals, and phytosterols are the plant cholesterol, kumbaga. So you cannot find any cholesterol in plants, but instead you can find phytosterols. Okay, and the chemical structure of fat is triglyceride. Okay, and a triglyceride molecule has three fatty acids linked with one glycerol molecule. Okay, so yeah, this is a fat molecule. No, this is a fat molecule. So this is yeah, you can also call this as a lipid molecule, but specifically it's a fat molecule. Okay, so a fat molecule has three fatty acids joined with one glycerol molecule. Okay, so if three water molecules are released, no, when two when these compounds join together, they would become triglyceride. Okay, each triglyceride molecule looks like this. So a fatty acid varies in length. Okay, but it always has these three major parts. The first part is the acid group, which is called the carboxylic acid group. This is the functional group of fatty acids. Okay, and this is the other side of the molecule. No, this is called the methyl group or the omega end. Okay, this is the omega end. So the methyl group is always like this, no? One central carbon and then three hydrogen atoms. Okay? And then kaning sa tunga, this is a variable length. That means from one fatty acid to another, this might take like two carbons or four carbons up to 22 exactly. Pero na ay mga fatty acids nga longer than this. Okay? So, therefore, kaning mga fatty acids nimo mag-vary sa kaning nga tunga nga portion. Okay? And this is the fatty part. This is the water-insoluble part of the fatty acid. Okay? And this is of course a single band because isa ra man nga band. But kani, this is a double band kay duha man ka buok. Okay? So this is the basic parts of a fatty acids. Lahi sa dang glycerol because this is the maulugar ni ang backbone sa triglyceride kaning glycerol. Kay diha each of these carbons nga naa sa glycerol is connected with a specific fatty acid. Okay? That's why it's called tri because tulo man nga fatty acids. Naapod molecules that are called diglycerides. That means duha ra nga fatty acids ang naka-attach sa glycerol. Nasad monoglyceride, so therefore isa ra nga glycerol ang naka-connect isa lang nga fatty acid ang naka-connect sa glycerol. So these mono and diglycerides are usually the byproducts of fat digestion. Okay? Am I still recording? Okay. Sige, so yeah, okay. So this is the glycerol and this fatty acids. So kaning nga mga fatty acids, they might be different in each triglyceride molecule such as this one. This is an 18 carbon saturated fatty acid which is also called stearic acid. Kani 18 carbon nga monounsaturated. So this could be an oleic acid, no, which is um the most predominant fatty acid found in olive oil. Then I think this is linoleic acid, an essential fatty acid. Okay? So, you see, ang isa ka fat molecule, ang isa ka triglyceride molecule, kay different ang fatty acids. Okay? So, this is called a mixed triglyceride because lahi-lahi nga fatty acid ang nakakonect sa glycerol. But, taken together, they are just one fat molecule, or they are just one triglyceride molecule. We know that fats contain around 9 calories per gram, no? So we do not really compute it as 9.45 but gina-round down na to 9. Okay? Other functions, lipids or fats provide means whereby fat-soluble nutrients can be absorbed by the body. I've already explained this one, the relevance na between fats and fat-soluble vitamins. Okay? Na-explain na nako na. And fats do provide the structural element of cells, no, and subcellular components. And they are also components of hormones and precursors of prostaglandin synthesis. Okay, and there are also other very important functions of fats that we will discuss no sa nutritional biochemistry, but mauni ang iyahang basic function. Naapo diri no provide cushion, provide protection sa mga visceral organs. That's why kaning mga organs that are surrounded by fatty tissues to protect them from physical trauma or shock that might occur, no, especially if na mga accidents. Okay? Okay. So, these are the classes of fats, of lipids. Okay? Kay kani, aside from fat na may other classes of lipids that are here. Okay? So, we have simple fatty acids esterified with glycerol. Yeah, kani ang mga simple fats, katong mga basic fats. Compound fats, same as simple but with other compounds also attached. Phospholipids are fats containing phosphorus, no, in the form of phosphoric acid and nitrogen. Example of a phospholipid is lecithin. There are also other lipids that are conjugated or combined with carbohydrates. So these are called glycolipids. We also have lipids that are derived, and these are the substances from the above derived by hydrolysis. And sterols are large molecular weight alcohols found in nature and combined with fatty acids. So an example of a sterol is cholesterol, which is the main sterol in the animal body. In plants, na ay sterol po diha, but it's not anymore cholesterol, it's called phytosterol. And between the two, no, phytosterol is much healthier than cholesterol. So cholesterol in excess is terrible for your health, but phytosterols are usually desired. Okay? Because they are, they have been found to reduce the risk of cardiovascular diseases. Okay. So I will just leave this for your own reading, guys, kay kung ano raman ni classifications raman ni siya. And makit-an pud ninyo ang mga sources nga naa diri, no. Okay? So, yeah, kamo na lang basa ani. Okay? Ang important lang no is kaning mga classification lang sa lipids. Okay? Dapat kabalo mo ana. Okay. By the way, it is assumed no nga before ani nagtan-aw mo ato ang tong YouTube by Ted Ed about fats, no? It's a video that emphasizes what I have been emphasizing so far in this class, that quality is actually over quantity. Okay? So mas important ang quality over quantity. So gi-explain dito nga nung not all fats are created equal because there are fats that are much healthier than others. Okay? So uh, at this point, no, dapat nakatanaw na mo to. Kung wala pa din, I recommend you to watch that first before, before mo magpadayon ani. So naara siya sa playlist, no, sa YouTube channel nako. Okay, but of course kanina kung ano sad ninyo ni na-discuss sad ninyo ni siya, dali ramang kaayo ma-distinguish ang two because saturated fats do not contain double bonds, while unsaturated fats do contain at least one double bond. And unsaturated fatty acids are categorized further into two. We have mono and poly. Monounsaturated fats do contain only one double bond, and then if more than one na, then that's already polyunsaturated fats. Okay. Most common polyunsaturated fats contain oleic, linoleic, and linolenic acid. Oleic acid is mono, linoleic and linolenic acid are polyunsaturated fats. And these two are actually called the essential fatty acids because these are the fatty acids that we cannot synthesize. So therefore, they are essential. Mauni silang ginatawag yun nga nutrients. Okay? Unsaturated fats have lower melting points. Yeah. Stearic acid, which is a saturated fat, melts at 70 degrees Celsius, while oleic acid melts at 26 degrees Celsius. So that's why actually mufa ng oleic acid dapat. Okay? Or monounsaturated fats dapat ni. So that's why guys, even at room temperature, unsaturated fats remain liquid, while kaning saturated fats remain solid in room temperature because unsaturated fats have lower melting points. Okay? Yeah, so this is what is saturated fat looks like. Wala siya double bond. Ang mufa nimo na isa, ang poly nimo daghan. Okay? Or it could only be like two lang. Pwede na siya matawag na poly. So these are the fatty acids commonly found in lipids. Okay? So we have butyric acid, palmitic acid, stearic acid, and we also have unsaturated fatty acids like oleic, linoleic, and linolenic acid. Okay? So they remain liquid in room temperature. Okay? Kay mas kuan man, mas lower man og melting point ang unsaturated fats. Okay? Ang butyric acid nimo liquid siya at room temperature, pero ang palmitic ug stearic remain solid in room temperature. Okay? So we can say that the longer the fatty acid chain, the more it can assume a solid form, no? Especially if they are saturated fats. By the way, maudi ay ni ang nomenclature no sa mga fatty acids according to the length of carbon. The length of carbon chain. Butyric acid does only contain 4 carbons. Okay? Caproic acid is 6, caprylic acid is 8, capric acid is 10, lauric acid is 12, myristic acid is 14, palmitic acid is 16, stearic acid is 18, arachidic acid is 20. Okay, mao lang na sila ang kinahanglan nimo memorizon kay maura sila raman ang pinaka-important kay sila raman ang mostly found sa atong diet. Okay? So take note of the source ha kung aha sila na belong. That's why kaning si lauric acid nimo uh, C12 siya no, and lauric acid is famously found in the coconut oil. And lauric acid is actually considered an MCT. C8 to C12 are called MCT. MCT means medium chain triglycerides. So meaning those triglyceride molecules contain majority of caprylic, capric, and lauric. Okay, mauna silang ginatawag nga medium chain fatty acids. Short chain fatty acids are butyric and caproic acid. Okay, so mauni ang mga byproducts sa fiber fermentation sa large intestines. Then, mga long-chain fatty acids from meristic acid towards palmitic, stearic, etc. So, magsugod na siya sa meristic acid. Okay? Please take note of that because naana siya relevance later, no? Especially sa absorption. And mo ning mga monounsaturated, mo nang ingon na ako nga oleic is mono. Okay? And poly, ang pinaka-important nga atong timan-an is kaning linoleic and alpha-linolenic. Some sources only state alpha-linolenic as linolenic, but actually the more accurate is alpha-linolenic acid. So these two are the only essential fatty acids. The rest can actually be synthesized by the body, so they are not considered essential. Okay, but it pays to know that there are other nutritionally relevant fatty acids like eicosapentaenoic pentanoic acid and docosahexaenoic acid, which are especially needed by the infants, no, as they grow, because these are the major components of the brain tissue. Okay, so it's very important that the breast milk contains a lot of these fatty acids, especially that infants they cannot still like produce a lot of these fatty acids. So this can be considered as conditionally essential nutrients during infancy, but as they grow older, they would now have the capacity to to produce these fatty acids. Okay, but there are uh, research studies like kaning thesis nako karon that argue that um, if you have low intakes of these fatty acids, you might be more inclined to develop depressive symptoms. Okay, so yeah, so these fatty acids are also um, implicated with mental health because these are structural components of the brain. So if kulang ang imong diet sa kaninga fatty acids, then they might have an effect on your mental health. Okay, so that's what we are trying to to determine. Okay, so please note ha, if mono sila, poly sila, or saturated fat. And yeah, unsa pa gani diri ang dapat i-discuss. Okay, as you can see, as you can notice here, no, if it's a saturated fat, solid siya at room temperature. Okay, but short chain fatty acids do assume liquid state. And ang mga unsaturated fats na to liquid. Why? Nganong liquid man sila? It has something to do with its structure. Okay? Saturated fats, since rigid ang ilahang structure, kay walay kay tightly packed, walay mga kinks nga ma-form when they aggregate together. So if mag-aggregate sila, if magkuan sila, what's this, if mag-combine sila together, pwede sila mag-form into a rigid structure. Okay, tightly packed man sila. So they could clog the arteries in the process, especially if they become very excessive. Okay? So, uh, but because of the double bonds that are found in your unsaturated fats, they do not pack really well. Oo, they do not they are not that fit no together. They are irregular shaped objects, unlike your saturated fats that they they are like bricks no that could form a very rigid wall. So that's why PUFA do not really unsaturated fats in general do not really cause no much of the atherosclerosis. Okay, so that's why an excess of saturated fats is not good, and therefore the type or the quality of fatty acid um, that we have to look for no, in a certain food is that it must contain more unsaturated fats than saturated fats, because unsaturated fats are much healthier because they do not really uh, cause no a lot of the atherosclerosis. Okay, and I think I have already explained this also last time no sa ato ang what's this ato ang lecture. Plant fats do contain much higher PUFAs than animal fats, so therefore plant fats are healthier. Okay, plant fats do contain a higher quality of fats. Okay, so ang animal fats more unsaturated fats, so dili kaayo quality nga fat, less healthy nga quality sa fat. Okay, um dili po na siya pasabot guys no nga for example ang soy oil puros ra gyud siya unsaturated fat, naa na siya gamay nga saturated but majority kay unsaturated. Okay, so that's why soy oil or soy fat is considered unsaturated, although naa siya gamay nga saturated but mas daghan ang unsaturated. Okay, and I have also explained that last time no that not all plant oils are actually healthy, because there are plant oils that are very high in saturated fat, such as your coconut oil. Okay, your coconut oil and palm oil are very rich in saturated fat. So dili gyapon ta pasubraan na because dili kayo na siya healthy nga oil. Unlike your olive oil no nga puros monounsaturated fat, which is the healthiest type of fatty acid among the three. Okay, not all in animals, not all animal based oils are not good, because there are animal oils like fish oil, which is polyunsaturated fat. Okay, nganong dapat unsaturated fat ang fat sa fish and other seafoods? Because they are living underwater, and underwater usually tugnaw. So dapat dili na mugahi ang fats nila, di ba? Usually kaning mga saturated fats nato matulog, di ba? Kanang mga may bawaan gyud nato nga saturated fat kay kanang mugahi kung bugnaw, di ba? Mao nang timailhan nga saturated fat ang oil. Okay? So, unlike your olive oil and other plant oils nga dili gid siya mugahi bisag bugnaw, because unsaturated fats siya. Okay? So therefore, since kaning fish na to underwater man ni sila, so dapat puros unsaturated fat para dili sila mugahi. Okay? Imagine kung saturated fat ang ilang oil, dili sila mag-function kay mugahi ilang fats. Okay? Pero sa kaning mga terrestrial animals na to, saturated fat yun na. Anyways, igang bayapod. And, dili man sila, there's really no need for them to have unsaturated fats. Like what the fish do, no? Okay? So, So this is how fats are digested and absorbed. So ato na sad uh, what's this? Ato na sad i-trace no ang digestion, absorption, taman sa transport and a little bit of utilization or metabolism. In the mouth, there's no chemical digestion because there is no functional um, lipase. Lipase is the general term for an enzyme that acts upon fats. Okay? There is no functional lipase that can function in the mouth. But there is a lipase that is released in the mouth mismo. And I've already explained this one last time. And that lipase is called lingual lipase. Okay, so it's released by the salivary glands. But it's an acidic lipase. That means it needs an acidity in order to function. So that's why lingual lipase is just merely released without it being functional. As the bolus goes down to the stomach, as the lipase experiences the acidic environment, then it's activated and becomes a functional lipase. Okay, so the lingual lipase starts to hydrolyze or to digest fats. Okay, so kaning mga triglycerides na to pwede na mahimong di or monoglycerides, freeing 1 to 2 fatty acids from the molecule. Okay, and yeah, um, but not all fats are hydrolyzed in the stomach because again there is a lipase in the small intestines that does the complete job. So actually very limited ang capacity ni lingual lipase. There is another lipase that is released by the stomach that is also an acidic lipase, and that's called the gastric lipase. Okay, so both gastric and lingual lipase do their job in hydrolyzing, in partially hydrolyzing or in partially digesting the dietary fats. Okay? By the way, nalimtan na ako sa protein ni siya, no? Because this is a protease. There is a protease that acts upon milk by curdling it. And that enzyme is called chymosin or renin. Okay? So, very important in milk digestion. Okay, but it's all about proteins. So, yeah, kuan lang na ako, na-remember lang na ako. Yeah. Uh, Pag-abot dito sa small intestines, si fats nato, katong mga wala na digest nga fats, i-digest to finally ni pancreatic lipase. So that's another pancreatic enzyme released alongside pancreatic amylase and katong mga pancreatic proteases, we have trypsin and chymotrypsin. Diba? So, yeah. So, pancreatic lipase completes the job of digesting fats, freeing 2 to 3 fatty acids. Katong mga monoglycerides, actually pwede to sila ma-absorb. Okay? Not necessarily nga completely ma-cleave ang tulo nga fatty acids from a glycerol molecule. No. Pwede ra gyud nga monoglycerides ang mabilin tapos naiduha nga fatty acids nga na-cleave. And that's thanks to pancreatic lipase. Okay? Okay, na ay mga statements diri no that would make fat digestion and absorption a little bit unique or a little bit different from others. Why? Because fats being lipids have poor water solubility. They are insoluble to water. So this presents a problem for digestion. Substrates are not easily accessible to digestive enzymes because digestive enzymes are water soluble. And here comes the fats that are water insoluble. So how would they interact with each other when they are immiscible or when they are not compatible? Diba? How do they mix together? So even if hydrolyzed, the products tend to aggregate to larger complexes that make poor contact with the cell surface and aren't easily absorbed. So to overcome these problems, changes in the physical state of lipids are connected to chemical changes during digestion and absorption. But of course, the body has its own ways to solve its problems. And in the problem that I have just presented, ang solution ni body is bile. Okay, so diri na mo sulod si bile nato. Okay, nga ato ang gidiscuss pag yun nga ato nga akong gi-introduce sa inyo ha last time. So si bile again is for the digestion of fats, and the bile solubilizes fats. Solubilize means dissolves, makes it more soluble to water, makes it more uh, contactable with the digestive enzymes, therefore easing the digestive process. Okay. Um, okay. So, mauni ang 5 different phases of lipid digestion and absorption. So, after binding with bile, ma-hydrolyze dayon ang triglycerides o ma-digest ang triglycerides into free fatty acids and monoglycerides or monoacylglycerols, parehas ra na sila. And after that, mag mag-reincorporate again si fatty acids with bile para able si cells nga ma-absorb siya para ma-overcome ang hydrophobicity or ang pagka non-polar sa fats, because bile acids are like biological detergents. Okay, nganong detergents ang tawag? Detergents is sabon, di ba? Imagine oily imong hands, greasy ang imong hands, then maghugas ka without sabon. Diba? Dili gyud na siya matanggal ang grease, di gyud na siya ma-remove ang fats. But if maggamit kag sabon, mawala ang grease. Okay? Ngano man na? It's a detergent. It makes the fat more soluble to water, so therefore mawash off ang fats thanks to the detergent. So sa ato ang digestive system na ay mga biological detergents diha called bile acids, so that these fats can freely interact with the aqueous, with the watery environment of the intestinal tract. Okay? Next phase is uptake of free fatty acids and monoacylglycerols into the cell and resynthesis to triglycerides. So absorption ni siya ha, since nahuman na og digestion kay naa naman tay pancreatic lipase nakaproduce nag free fatty acids and monoacylglycerols or monoglycerides. So i-take up na siya sa small intestine cells para padulong na sa lymphatic system. But before that, i-repackage sa sila, i-resynthesize sa sila or i-reform sila to triglyceride. And then after that, i-package ang triglycerides into chylomicrons. So chylomicrons are the first lipoprotein made in the digestion and absorption of fats. Okay? So chylomicrons carry the absorbed dietary fats into the circulation. Okay? We have also other lipoproteins as well. So, kani ang first na itong na-encounter here, chylomicrons. And after gi-incorporate ni chylomicrons si resynthesized triglycerides, then the cells would now be ready to release its chylomicrons into the lymphatic system, thereby completing the process of absorption. Exocytosis is release of particles of the cells from the inside to the outside. Okay? So, remember this phases of absorption, digestion and absorption of fats. Okay? Yeah, kani akong gidiscuss except aning co-lipase. Co-lipase is like a helper of the pancreatic lipase to help pancreatic lipase digest more fats. So that's why it's called co-lipase. Lipid esterase is an enzyme that acts on cholesterol esters, cleaving fatty acids free from the cholesterol. Phospholipases act upon phospholipids like lecithin. Okay, take note of the enzymes that activate them. Say for example, trypsin activates phospholipases. Okay, so what are biological detergents? Kanina explain na nako no nga biological detergents. Okay, nag-analogize nako, di ba? Para mas masabtan ninyo. Bile when combined with these fats and fatty acids do form micelles. So, maunang micelles, maunang combination sa bile with fats. The hydrophobic portion or the tails of the fatty acids are located to the inside of the micelle with the heads exposed to the outside. This is very important, guys. Kay kaning hydrophilic portion mao maning mag-interact sa aqueous environment sa intestines para dali ra i-transport si fat. So katong mga hydrophobic portion sa fats taguon to, dapat inside to. Okay? And thanks to micelles no, thanks to bile, inana possible na siya, and therefore possible ang digestion and absorption of fats even though they are water immiscible in the first place. Okay? So they move lipids from the intestinal lumen to the cell surface, and absorption is by diffusion. Okay? There are factors affecting absorption of lipids. First is amount of fat consumed. So the higher the fat consumed, the higher the digestion absorption. Okay? That is just the the um what's this? That is just the that is just how it works. Okay. We also have age of subject. So the older persons have more capacity to digest fats. Okay. Emulsifying agents. So mas dagan ang bile, mas dagan ang ma-digest, mas dagan ang ma-absorb. The longer the fatty acid chain, the lesser the digestibility. That's why katong mga taas na kaayo nga fatty acids, di na kaayo to ma-digest. Actually, kanang sa kandila, no? Kanang kandila, it's a wax, it's a lipid, and it contains very long chains of fatty acids. So, mao nang di na nato na sila ma-digest. Kaya dili man edible ang kandila, di ba? Yeah. Degree of saturation of fatty acids. So, the higher the degree of saturation, the lower the digestibility. Okay, so mas preferred yun ang unsaturated no nga fats. Overheating and autooxidation, kani siya dili ni pwede kay ma-rancid or ma-rot ang fatty acid, ma-spoil siya, which would produce toxic byproducts no. Okay? Optimal dietary calcium is desired, not very high calcium, because a diet that is very high in calcium could decrease the absorption of fats because when calcium comes in contact with fats, they would form insoluble soaps. So both calcium and both fatty acids are not absorbed. So yeah. So kuan lang, kanang sakto lang ang calcium. Short chain fatty acids are absorbed and enter the portal vein to the liver directly. Okay? Especially kaning mga medium chain fatty acids. Okay? So kaning medium chain fatty acids, they do not need bile anymore for absorption because they are directly absorbed to the circulatory system. But those fatty acids with more than 10 carbons, they are resynthesized by the liver to triglycerides. They must be incorporated first into the chylomicrons. They must be what's this? They must be passed first to the lymphatic system before sa circulatory system. So mo nitong akong ingon no last time. So some fatty acids entering the liver are oxidized for energy and others stored. Okay? So yeah, katong mga short chain fatty acids and some of the medium chain fatty acids, pwede ra sila mo diretso sa circulatory system and then sa liver. Pero katong mga longer than 10 carbons nga mga fatty acids, kinahanglan pa sila resynthesize to triglycerides sa sulod sa small intestinal cells and i-package into chylomicrons and ipadulong sa lymphatic system, ayha sa portal vein, then ayha padulong sa liver. Okay? Um, then pag abot dito sa liver, daghan fates ang uh, fatty acids. Pwedeng i-store as fat kung sobra-sobra ang energy or kung kinahanglan og energy at the moment, then i-convert sila into energy. Okay? Or they can just be released to the bloodstream para sa consumption sa other organs. Okay? Yeah, okay, this is an illustration that shows fat digestion and absorption. So as you can see here, we have your pancreatic lipase, and thanks to the bile salts, thanks to the bile, makahimo na tag micelle. So kani micelle ni siya, and sulod ana is fat. And tungod ani no, mas maka-interact si micelle with the pancreatic lipase, thereby allowing digestion of fats. Okay? Yeah, kani micelle na ni siya. Okay? Then mauning mga lipase that allows no the breakdown of fats into fatty acids and monoglycerides. So these are the different types of lipoproteins. Okay, these are the different types of lipoproteins. So again, it's the chylomicrons that are the first lipoproteins that come in contact with the diet-derived fats. Okay, so chylomicrons carry triglycerides from the intestines to the liver, skeletal muscle, and to adipose tissue. They have a very, very low density since it contains mostly triglycerides and very little protein. Okay, so the one lipoprotein that has the highest level of triglycerides is chylomicron, and it's also the least dense it's the least dense lipoprotein. Next is VLDL, or very low density lipoprotein, carry newly synthesized triglycerides. By the way, triacylglycerol and triglycerides are the same, but the more correct term is triacylglycerol. But you can still call it as triglyceride. Okay, so yeah, it carries those newly synthesized tags. Pwede sa tags, no, because triglycerides and triacylglycerols are a little bit mouthful. So yeah. So VLDL contains 55 to 65% triglycerides, 15 to 20% phospholipids, 10 to 15% cholesterol, and 5 to 10% protein. Intermediate density lipoproteins are intermediate between VLDL and LDL. They are not usually detectable in the blood because kuan ra ni sila, ang lifespan ani niya very short. So dali ra ni siya ma-convert into VLDL or LDL. LDL carries cholesterol from the liver to the cells of the body. So that's why sila ang tig-deliver no o cholesterol padulong sa cells. And LDL is said to be if taas atong LDL no sa blood, then dili na siya good news sa atong health. And usually katong mga naay cardiovascular disease, taas gyud ilang LDL. So, high LDL level is a marker of poor health, okay? Especially poor cardiovascular or poor heart health. Okay? While if your HDL is high or is normal, then that's good because HDL is now your good cholesterol. Okay? Because what does HDL do? It collects cholesterol from the body's tissues and bring it back to the liver for cleansing, kumbaga. So these particles are denser than the others because it has more protein. Okay? So kana ha. So kumbaga kung iput na to na into i-graph mao ni ang ilahang dagway. So as you can see here si chylomicron daghan ra gyud kay siya triglyceride and si LDL nimo taas kayo siya cholesterol. Okay? So mao na nga kung elevated ang LDL nimo no taas sa imong blood cholesterol and that is not good news. Okay? So our goal here is to actually have a normal LDL and normal to high HDL. Okay? Characteristics of fat storage. So, just like your carbs and proteins, any excess fats are stored as fats. Okay? By the way, nalimtan na kog emphasize no sa proteins. Ang proteins, wala tay storage for proteins. You might be tempted to think that muscles serve as the storage organ for proteins, but no. Okay? Because extra proteins are converted to fats. Remember that excess carbohydrates are converted to glycogen. So at least na glycogen no carbohydrate storage form. But ay pa siya ma-convert into fats kung puno na ang glycogen. Pero ang proteins nimo bisag gamay ra na nga excess, ma-convert na siya sa fat because dili man gud na ma-store sa muscles. Because what the muscles can only store is kanang para lang gud sa iyaha. Okay? The muscles do not have the mechanism to store these amino acids even for a shorter period of time because any excess amino acids are degraded to the formation of fats. So wala tay storage for proteins. But for fats, obviously ang storage yapon nato is fats. So that's why kung excess yapon ang fat, ma-store siya as fat. Okay? So yeah. Storage is in adipose, source is dietary or anabolism from carbohydrates or amino acid carbon skeletons. So mo na itong akong gi-explain last time. Remember obesity? So if all in all dako kayo imuhang energy intake no and wala kay exercise sedentary imong lifestyle, then definitely kaning mga macros na tong excess ma-convert ra na into fats, thereby contributing to excessive weight gain, and that might lead in the long term to obesity, okay, which is not good in our health. Okay? And if ever kulang tag energy, okay, for example, wala ta nagkaon, pero naatay mga fat stores, don't worry. Magamit yun dato ng fat stores because we can source out fats there and convert that to energy. Okay? So, yeah. We also have this fatty acid nomenclature or nomenclature. So, this is how we name the fatty acids. Okay? That's why if this is very important, guys, because when you read journal articles, fatty acids are usually written in this way. Okay, say for example, linoleic. This is a polyunsaturated fat. Um, 18, kaning pinakauna nga figure, this represents the um, number of carbon atoms. So, ang number of carbon atoms nga naa sa linoleic is 18. And kaning colon tapos kaning next nga number, ang next nga number, guys, represents the number of double bonds. So therefore 18 carbons, then naa siya duha nga double bonds. And unsa man ning N6? N6 means omega 6. That means this is an omega 6 fatty acid. Okay? Later no I'll explain unsa pud ding omega 3, omega naming system like omega 3 and omega 6 and even omega 9 fatty acids. Okay? So this means the fatty acid, it has 18 carbons, has 2 double bonds, and the first of which is on the 6th carbon from the omega end. Okay, sige. Later na ako i-explain. Sige, karon na lang na ako explain di ay. Okay. Atong tan-awon, sige, mag-search ko ha sa omega 6 and omega 3. Omega 6 fatty acid. Para masabtan ninyo ang omega naming system. Okay. Balik sa tadiri. Okay. Di ba gi-explain na ko ganina nga kani siya nga part kaning tail man niya is a methyl group and it's the omega end. Okay? Because in the Greek alphabet, alpha means mao siyang pinakauna nga letter, then ang omega is mao nang pinaka-last. So therefore, mao na ang end sa fatty acid. This is the omega end. So that is very important in understanding the omega 3 and omega 6. Because as we can see here, 'di ba ang methyl man mao man ang end, mao man ang tail, mao nang omega. So diha daw ta mag-count, and then kung 3, 6 or 9 sila, diha dayon nimo makit-an kung diha nimo makitaan ang first nga double bond. Okay? Counting from the omega or from the methyl end. So say for example here, alpha linolenic acid, which is an omega 3 fatty acid. So nganong na omega 3 man ni siya? Because if you count from the omega end, naa sa ikatulo dayon ang first nga double bond. So 1, 2, 3. So that's why ala is an omega 3. Okay, next example, echo sa pentanoic acid. So this is another omega 3 fat. Kay ngano, naa sa ikatulo nga carbon ang first nga double bond counting from the methyl end. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Docosahexaenoic acid. 1, 2, 3. So that's why omega 3 siya. Okay. Remember katong naming 18 since 18 siya nga carbon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay? 3 ang double bonds. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Then N3. So, 18 carbons, 3 double bonds, and omega 3. Whereas kani, 18 siyang carbons, if i-count mo, then duha ka double bonds, Then omega 6. So counting from the omega end, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So therefore, ay, sa 6 carbon pa, na-locate ang first nga double bond counting from the omega end. Okay? So munang pasabutan ng omega 3 o omega 6. Naiuban guys that are called omega 9. Sige. Check na to si omega 9 ha, kung omega 9 bagyod siya counting from so good ta mag-count from the omega end. Kani. Asa man ang methyl end kani. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, that's why si oleic acid omega 9 nimo. Okay? That's it. Okay? So, note that oleic acid is an omega 9 fatty acid. Okay? Sige, balik ta dito, no? Linoleic and alpha-linolenic are the two essential fatty acids. While arachidonic, eicosa, and docosa, although they are nutritionally relevant, but they are not essential. Okay? These are not essential because actually our body can produce eicosa and docosahexaenoic acid. Pero there are cases that you might need this as a dietary essential, such as during infancy. Okay? Kaya kaning mga infants pamanggod, di pamanggod di sila makaproduce og inani. So, may mong essential fatty acid ni sila. But, what's this? Adults only need linoleic and alpha-linolenic acid as, as dietary essential. Omega 6 ang linoleic, omega 3 ang alpha-linolenic acid. Okay? There are also things that you have to know, no, regarding omega 6 and omega 3, because between the two, omega 3 fats are much healthier. Okay? Because omega 3 fats are considered anti-inflammatory, and they are helpful, no, in the prevention and management of inflammatory disorders. Inflammatory disorders are mostly mga lifestyle diseases like diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular diseases, cancer. Okay? Yeah. A lot of studies have proven that if your diet has a lot of omega 6 compared to omega 3, then that is not good. That is not healthy. So, if taas kayo ang omega 6 to omega 3 ratio nga intake nimo, then that's not good. So, ang healthy nga omega 6 to omega 3 ratio is 4:1. Okay? That means 4 parts sa omega 6, then 1 part sa omega 3. Kung mulapas nag 4:1, like 5:1 or 10:1 or 20:1, then that is not healthy anymore. Okay? But sadly, ang intake na to karon, no, kay moabot up to 20:1. Dagan kayong omega 6 compared sa omega 3. So, no wonder mauna siya ang cause sa mga inflammatory diseases. Okay? Yeah, I think that's it. That's it, guys. That's all about fats. Although naapatay mga deeper discussions regarding fats, but I guess I'll just leave that to nutritional biochemistry, no, next semester. And yeah, apatay isang part which is all about water, and I'll discuss that face to face, no, during our third chapter exam. So that's it. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next F2F exam. Goodbye.